welcome back to the More Than Muscle podcast, where we talk about things fitness, mindset and community. I'm Andy Polides.
And I'm Hattie Fowler, and today we're diving into a topic that's both powerful and empowering: women and weightlifting.
If you've ever wondered whether lifting heavy is too much for women, or you're curious about how to get started without walking into the gym or feeling lost, we've got you here.
Yeah, we're just going to have a bit of fun. We're going to have a challenge later in this episode, and we'll share some amazing stories from our community. I think we should just get into it.
Okay, so like the main points of the discussion that we're going to be going through today is basically women in weightlifting. It's something that is on the rise. We're seeing this in gyms, and there are a lot of common myths that we want to just basically debunk and break down.
Absolutely. These are things I hear a lot, and I think it's really important that if we start off this discussion, we get rid of these myths. They need to be gone.
Throw them out. Have you not got like a little dun for that bit?
So the first common myth I want to talk, First common myth I want to talk about is that lifting makes women bulky. I hear this all the time. All the time. Women get worried that if they're going to lift weights, they're going to gain lots and lots of muscle, and they're going to look hench, and that's not the body they're after. A lot of women come in and they want to lose fat and they want to tone up, which is actually exactly what weightlifting is for.
And you know what? It's crazy because I've been lifting for the last, I don't know, probably since I was about 16. And if it was that easy to put muscle mass on, I would be bigger than Arnie.
Exactly.
So it's not going to happen that easily.
Exactly. And actually, on that point, women lack testosterone. Or they don't have as much as men. So when you compare yourself to men and you see men in the gym lifting and getting bulky, the likelihood of that happening to you is slim. It takes a lot of years to grow muscle. It's not just going to happen overnight. And actually, what we're looking for here is it's going to increase your metabolism. You're going to tone up, and you're going to lose fat, which is exactly what women, I think, are looking for.
Yeah, I guess, look, before we move on to more of the common myths, let's just, you've listed some of those benefits, Hats, but like, we work with females on a daily basis. You run one of the biggest women's weightlifting communities in the Surrey area, Waverley area. There's so many females that turn up, but go on, just break those lifts or break down those benefits of the lifts, because I think more females should be hearing this.
So the benefit of lifting, I've seen these women transform and become people that they've always wanted to be and never thought they could be. Their confidence is the main thing that I think that I've seen improve through weightlifting. They now believe in themselves. They see these weights and they're lifting them. They're able to lift them. They're able to lift them with correct form and correct technique and feel good afterwards. And for me, that's probably the best thing that I've seen in terms of changes in these women is their confidence. They walk into the building like they belong there. They're looking around and they know what to do. They know how to gym without me. They're growing independent. They're becoming people that are leaders of the next generation of women coming through the gym. So for me, that's the number one benefit of lifting that I've seen from this WWC group. But also, the strength in overall strength has increased. They're able to lift a lot more than they did when they started. But I actually think that the empowerment that they get and the sort of mental health benefits that they get from the lifting has been the thing that I would say is the highest benefit of lifting.
And you know what? It's crazy. I can hear it in your voice.
Oh my God, I just get so excited when I talk about it. I absolutely love it.
I can hear it in your voice, which, look, that folds me into another common myth, because there's obviously, you know, it means something to you. Weightlifting is only for men. It's a beneficial activity for people of all genders. This is something that we're saying. But again, I think we're seeing these barriers getting kicked down on a daily basis, particularly in the gym. You know, you were speaking about this earlier with us. Most of our clients are now female.
Yeah.
Most of our workforce is now female. This is something that's rising. And obviously with things like our women's weightlifting, with things like some of the stuff that we do here at Activate Learning with regards to, you know, the mobility classes, the majority of people that are turning up are women. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a massive myth, and it's one that needs a big slap in the face, because we've seen how good these women classes are and how females are helping each other, which is, I think, what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. I would say even in the 3 years that I've been here, I've felt a shift in the gym. There's more women coming in. There's more women that are in leadership roles in the gym. Also in our women's weightlifting collective, we've had over 3,000 attendees. Like, the women want it, and they're there, and they're ready to listen and ready to learn, and that's perfect.
Like, specifically, I guess, this is something that's changing, but particularly like my mum's era, and I guess you could probably say the same.
Yeah.
There's a big like aerobic like stigma. It's
Absolutely.
like, you know, weightlifting is for. And when we say weightlifting, we're not talking specifically just clean and jerk. We're talking
Absolutely
about
not.
resistance training in the gym, right?
Yeah.
But that cardio is the way forward for females because it keeps you nice and slim and toned and tiny and all these kind of things that are completely not true.
Absolutely.
But you know, this is a problem. Cardio is not enough. It's good for you. We're not saying don't do cardio. Aerobic fitness is really important for your heart health, and that's for male and female.
Absolutely.
But I want to hone in a bit more on why weightlifting is important for bone health, menopause, osteoporosis, things like that. So I don't know, Hats, coming from a female who knows what they're doing in the gym, do you want to roll that out a little bit?
So, weightlifting will strengthen your muscles and joints. Ultimately, that's what it's going to do. So it's potentially going to reduce any pain and improve overall joint health. Lots of people say, I don't want to weightlift because it's bad for my knees, it's bad for my back, I've got pain in my back. When actually what you need to do is start to weightlift in a controlled manner where you're doing the correct technique and the correct form. Now that's really important. Obviously, I'm not going to say just come into the gym, lift whatever you can. It has to be done in a safe manner, but it's going to improve. Strength training helps build muscle. That's also going to increase your metabolism, and you're going to help burn more calories at rest. Now, when women go through menopause, your hormones are all over the shop. There's lots of things that are happening. Quite often people will say that they put on a lot of weight going through menopause. So knowing that strength training can increase your metabolism will be beneficial for people as well. But often people that are going through menopause are older women. And a lot of things I've heard is, I'm too old. I'm over 60. I'm not going to be able to build any muscle mass. There's no point. But I have seen so many studies, and I've seen in real life through my class, that weight training, women in their 60s and beyond, can grow muscles as big and as strong as an average 40-year-old. Like, you can put lean muscle mass on as you age. But again, patience and perseverance are important factors, like any other goal you have. So it's Yeah,
and we're seeing this in real life. Like, you know, one of the other myths is that older women can't build any muscle, and you know, we have clients between the ages of 40 to 60 and beyond. You know, we've got some clients going up towards their 80s that we've seen their bone density increase. We've had them do DEXA scans, and we've seen them increase between 15 to 75% over time. Yes, there's medication that goes along with that, but at the end of the day, the strength training is the thing that's really driving that as well. We're also seeing, you know, people, you know, as you're talking with the menstrual cycle, understanding themselves, or menopause rather, understanding their body better, tracking things better, feeling better. And there's a big thing that we always say, motion is the potion. Blood flow is important, but equally strength training allows you to be more resilient, and that, you know, works with your mental health, it works with your physical health, and they go hand in hand. But for me, the biggest thing that I think is really important is, usually we see the older generation helping the younger generation, but what we're starting to see is the younger generation coming through doing strength training, and the older generation are cottoning onto these things and going, I need to start. But there's a massive fear because they haven't understood the technicals, or there's a big fear of like, I'm going to bust my back. The biggest one that you always talk to me about in the gym is like, my client's telling me they don't want to lift because their back's going to bust or their knee's going to go out. Now, you speak about the technicals, but I guess just break down a little bit. Like, you know, in the WWC, we had an inquiry this week actually, and someone was saying, look, I want to strength train. I know I need to do this. The affordability of working with someone one-to-one is hard. I want to work in a class environment, but I'm fearful that I'm not going to get like the eyes on me as much as I would. But speak to me how you use the cohort of women who have been working with you for like 3 years now to help support each other, because at the end of the day, there are environments in which you can get yourself going, you can learn the technicals, and then slowly become stronger without breaking your back and your knees.
Again, another big change that I've seen in the WWC recently is that this cohort of women are now leaders themselves. So I break the class into two halves. We've got some circuits and we've got some weightlifting. So you're getting a bit of cardio, but you're also getting your strength and resistance training. You're getting that weight-bearing exercises that's going to stimulate all the bone growth, reducing the risk of osteoporosis. So we've got that aspect, and we've got that sort of fat loss aspect as well. But what I'm seeing, and this is the thing that puts a smile on my face every single time I go to this class, something I've said 2-3 weeks ago to a particular woman who might have been struggling with their technique, I hear them relay that almost word for word, probably better than I delivered it, to a fellow member of the class. And I'm sat there and I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
Women are supporting women. Women are taking this opportunity to take what I've taught them and express it in a way that's more manageable for their fellow peers. It's fantastic to see and hear correct information and help being received throughout that class. Now, this bunch of women are the most supportive women of each other that I think I've ever seen. And quite often, I feel like women can be hard on other women. I actually think most of the problem comes from this sort of judgment of each other. And I think that just leaves the door when you're in this class. Yeah. And I think that if we can get this message across and get as many people supporting each other as they do in this class, like, it's fantastic.
I think the research is clear, and we're going to go into this a bit later, but the research is clear that it's good for you.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important that those people that have cottoned on to the benefits of it are leading from the front to help those people that don't quite know yet, because essentially what we know is females that do strength training, resistance training, are seeing significant benefits for that.
Absolutely.
Not only in the gym with their six-pack and their bikini bodies and all the rest of it that everybody wants, but from a mental aspect, from a physical aspect, from also like just even movement quality.
Yep.
You know, some of our 40 to 60-year-old people were talking about how they're sprinting and running after their grandchildren and picking things up without pain. At the end of the day...
Or not gone to the chiropractor for 2 years because they've started lifting here. Like, little things like that.
So, yeah, like Hat says, one of the biggest barriers is those people that are judging, and there is always going to be those people in life, but there's a significant cloud, particularly, I don't want to keep saying about the older generation, but it seems to come from those people, through the people that we get through and speak to at the gym. It's like there's question marks over how good weightlifting is for females, but equally it always comes down to, oh, you're getting bulky, or you're looking a bit fatter or frumpier, or that doesn't fit well, or those sweaty Betty trousers are not hanging well. And actually that negative kind of voice is almost impacting the underpinning that weightlifting for females is by all means one of the most important things that any female can do for their health and fitness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so uncovered some of those myths. I guess what I want to hear is a personal story from you, Hats, because listen, I've known you now for the last 3 years.
That's 3 years of your life.
God help me. But at the end of the day, you're a female that has always been involved in sport.
Absolutely.
In some capacity with your rugby and things like this. You've also had some of your struggles in life, but one of the things I've noticed lately is how much weight training you're getting through, and I've seen the change in you. So unpack it.
I am training, and I'm training hard, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I actually cannot recommend it enough. I've always been involved in sport. I've always known sport's my thing. Rugby specifically, I think I've been playing since the age of 4. And
comeback's on the cards.
Comeback is not on the cards. I don't think I will get to that, but played rugby all my life, and then played in uni, played quite a high level, national champion twice, got gold medal from England, you know, just small flex. I've got 2 gold medals from England.
You have never told me that.
Yes, I'll bring it for the next podcast and hold it in the camera, but high level, really enjoyed it, helped me a lot mentally, because I have a lot of it helped me release a lot of sort of emotions and all sorts. It's fantastic, and it was something I could do with my dad. Me and my dad used to drive for hours listening to Queen in the car, like, loved it. So always been a massive part of my life. And then COVID happened, and I think about 2021 I got COVID, and I have okay asthma. It's not fantastic, but due to me having asthma and catching COVID, I unfortunately got a pulmonary embolism in my lung, which is like a blood clot.
I was going to say, for the people that don't know what that is, that's a blood clot.
A blood clot in my lung. So basically what happened was my blood was too sticky. I wasn't getting enough oxygen in my body because I had COVID.
All that sugar that you keep
All that sugar. Sugar's good for you, I've heard. So my blood was really sticky, and I actually ended up getting a blood clot in my lung, which actually set me back quite a bit. I was in uni doing a sport and exercise science degree. So a lot of the stuff that we were doing on a daily basis was physical, which I had to kind of take a step back from, because I was recommended by the doctors that if I did any activity, I could aggravate it and it could move to any part of my body, including my heart, which was really fun to learn.
Mental.
So several months of literally doing nothing, I think I put on about 10 kilos because unfortunately I was still eating the same amount as I was when I was regularly doing sport and stuff like that. So told by the doctors, no exercise, bad for you. Okay, cool. Couple months later, nothing's happened. Still bad, lots of scans, whatever. Couple months later, nothing. Go to my professor at the university and I'm like, look, I've done a load of research. I actually think that exercise is going to help me. And he was like, let's do it. So we put sort of a program together and I very slowly sort of came back into the gym and started gymming properly. But I was scared.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I just want to depict from that. Is that I remember training you and you literally were like doing one cycle of like the bike, you know, when the pedals go round and your heart rate would be like at 80-90%.
Yeah.
So there was definitely something going on there. But equally, the biggest thing that I want to talk about is you were scared. And the reason why I bring that to the table is a lot of the females that are not going to start, it's because of fear, not because of the actuals. And one of the things that you did is you went to a professor, which basically very evidence-based, trustworthy. But his answer was, you need to resistance train, you need to weight train. So there are some real things that we can draw from there that show you it's the right thing. Right. Fast forward. We get past your fear. You start training. Now look at you.
Yeah, so I'm absolutely clear. I've got no pulmonary embolism, no more blood clot. I'm as healthy as I think I've ever been in my entire life. I train 4 to 5 times a week, strength training and a little bit of cardio, but I tend to skip the cardio, don't tell my coach. But I have never felt better. I'm not bulky, but I've put on a little bit of muscle because I've worked hard. My mental health is through the roof in terms of the confidence that I have, but also being a personal trainer and training, I feel like my game is elevated because I'm able to empathize with my clients. I'm able to explore movements and then repeat them for them when I'm able to know what's applicable, what's not applicable for my clients. I think it's elevated my game as well.
Sure.
But I would say I cannot recommend strength training enough. I have never felt as good as I feel now.
Yeah, one of my favourite sayings is, strength is the mother of all qualities when everything else is equal. And basically all that's meaning is when everything's at an equal playing field, the likelihood is the person that has the most strength will have the platform to do whatever they want. And that doesn't necessarily mean strength with 1 RM, meaning the most you can lift, because that often gets confused as well. Everyone's like, strength training is about the heaviest thing you can lift. It's not. It's about the resilience from a mindset perspective. We speak about you had fear, you didn't want to begin, but now you've got this resilience in your head. You've overcome a problem. You've overcome something. It's taking you down a funnel. And now you can speak from experience, which has elevated your personal training career. It's elevated you. It's elevated your health status physically and mentally. And these are kind of the metaphors that we want females to understand. And to be honest, it's not just a female thing. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
But there's a big cohort of females that are still intimidated to start.
Absolutely.
Because of these like fears. So that's nice to hear, Hats, that you're doing well.
We're getting there.
We've had many client transformations. That's something. But, you know, we've had people who had never weight trained before. We've had people that have weight trained before, had a ton of kids. I want to shout out one of my clients who's had 4 or 5 kids. They're in their 40s and they look phenomenal. They're strong, they're fit, they're able. There's no kind of excuses. But at the end of the day, strength training has been the metaphor for doing that. And again, going through a process, one of the things that I love about strength training is that you can't just walk up to a barbell and put, I don't know, let's just say 200 kilos, if you get there. You can't just put it up on your back and then fake it. There has to have been a journey of distinct training, programming, periodized work where you've taken the journey through, you've run through the process, it's got you somewhere, and then the actual weight that you lift is like the metaphor for all of those things. And strength training for me is all about the journey. And I think if more people go on the journey, they'll see the physical and mental benefits from that.
Absolutely. And that will keep the motivation going. I think motivation is quite a hard thing as well that I see a lot of people lack. And it's just about having the vision and having the right sort of educational environment and inclusivity around you to know that it's not just about hitting a certain weight on a bar. When you hit that, it's fantastic, but it's all those small things along the way, like my jeans fit a bit better, or someone noticed that they said that my shoulders look nice, or something like that. It's these little things along the way, and that's what makes strength training so important, is like you said, that journey that you go through.
So Hatch, to wrap this little section up, if you was to get started, you're a female,
Oh my God,
you've
I
heard our
am.
podcast,
Yep.
and you're like, shit, man, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm inspired. I want to do this.
Yep.
Could you roll a little process of like how they can get started?
Absolutely. I would say foremost is you're not on your own with this, and I would actually actively seek some form of guidance through this. So though we've said how amazing it all is, there is still a level of science behind all of this, and I think that if you're going to try and do it by yourself, I would focus on form first and just some intro programs or a PT session, even if it's just the one-off, so that you can get used to the environment that you're in. If I was to walk into Activate and sit down and do a class, I would be out of my depth. I wouldn't know what to do. I would want some guidance. So if you flip it on its head and come the other way, when you walk into the space, that's the gym, think about maybe having a bit of guidance. I would say community support is massive. I would try and find somewhere where you feel comfortable being you in a community that supports you. I'm going to plug it shamelessly, but we are offering some free trials for our Women's Weightlifting Collective. If that sounds something that you would be interested in, I couldn't recommend it enough, because you're going to see inclusivity. You're going to be based in an educational environment where every woman that's in that room is there for you. So if to summarize, I would seek out support, but I would say that go for it. If there's that tiny inclination that you want to do it, push yourself, be brave, and go for it.
Yeah, like that hats. All right, we're seeing that like there's a rise. We have spoken about our WWC, which I think a lot of females could benefit from. Or if anyone has any similar things that are not as local to Waverley and Guildford and things like this, find those kind of things. But to give you an idea, the Women's Weightlifting Collective has had over 3,000 attendances since it started, so it's impacted quite a few women. We've seen positive things. Hats have spoken about never having to see your osteo again, or at least less frequently. We've seen people speak about how they've brought their children and got them involved. Some of these children are now doing work experience with us, which is phenomenal. So there's been real good like groundworks for positive stuff. But the main premise of why the Women's Weightlifting Collective was started was females would go into the gym, go on a cardio kit, and we've all seen it, do 10 minutes on a bike, 10 minutes on a treadmill, 10 minutes on a rower, and literally circuit the lot and then exit. For two reasons. Reason number one is the myth of I'm going to get bulky, hurt myself, etc. And reason number two is they don't want to go into the male-dominated zone and have themselves either perved over, looked over, or just feeling stupid because they don't know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So that's what it was created for. And what we're seeing now is these females going in and literally just dominating the room, understanding what to do, empowering themselves. But equally, one of the best things that I see from the collective is some of the social stuff that happens after, you know, going for a drink. Yes, you can drink. It's okay. You can have fun with your friends and have a social life still. We're not trying to be bodybuilders or athletes.
That, actually.
But equally, like, you know, you guys jumped into Frensham Pond together and done
we did a cold
swim.
dip. It was
a
cool.
Cold dip. You've done sip and paints. You've done cake days and coffee mornings, and it's all about community. And I think at the end of the day, there is a distinct need for more females who are now breaking through and doing the right things to help lead the front for the people that are still struggling.
Absolutely, and I just, like we said, the science backs it. Women who strength train have a better overall health outcomes. And you know what? I want. If there's one thing you remember from this, it's that it's so empowering to feel strong.
Yeah, love that, Hats. Okay, fun kind of game time. We're going to call it Test the Pro because you know, me and Hats are actually pros.
Professionals.
You know. We get asked a ton of questions and they're always pretty similar. So we've listed a few. Basically, we're going to ask each other one of these questions, and the pro has basically got to answer it.
All right.
So, shall I go first?
Well, no, I want to ask you first.
All right,
come
fine.
on,
Cool.
Mr. Masters. How do I get rid of my bingo wings?
Okay, so that's this. We get this all the time.
Back of your arm.
Most of the time. This is not just females, actually. We get this from males as well. But most of the time, we don't even get asked the question. We just get the shake.
Yep.
But essentially, if we could spot reduct fat and go, I want to lose body fat from there, me and Hats will both be, not millionaires, we'll probably be billionaires.
Yeah.
You can't spot reduct your body fat. What you can do is lose body fat as an overall. What you can do from spot perspective is build muscle in certain areas. So if you want to do a little bit more in your arms, you'll work your arms a little bit more. But overall, you need to be doing all the right things with regards to your movement output, the food that you eat, and do it over a long enough period, which is why strength training is so important, because you have to follow a program for a long enough period of time with consistency, and you will see your body starting to change. It might take a little bit more for females because of estrogen and things like this. You know, your hormone profile is slightly different to us, but at the end of the day, if you keep working in the right direction, your bingo wings will go and you'll strike lucky.
Beautiful. Come on then, hit me.
Okay, common one. How do I build my glutes?
How do you build your glutes? It's going to be a fairly similar answer, but in regards to, rather than losing fat, it's going to be gaining muscle. So again, you can a little bit more spot check certain areas, so you can overload a certain muscle and grow in that area, but it's about picking exercises and not overtraining, hitting the right rep range, and making sure that you have enough recovery time before you exercise to build your glutes. Like the same with any muscle, but if you're looking for glute specific, there are exercises that you can do that target your glutes specifically. Funnily enough, glute bridges, hip thrusts, all those kind of things. Now, traditionally, I would label those as very girly exercises. You come in, and if they're not on the cardio machines, the women are probably building their glutes, doing some form of cable kickback. But there are lots of other exercises that are more life functional. What's the word I'm looking for?
You're speaking about things like step ups, unilateral split squats, things like this.
More applicable to your everyday life, that you will seek the benefits from them, and it's not just some aesthetic that you've grown, but you've actually built strength. And as you get older and you're not able to stand up as much, or you're picking up your grandkids, you'll appreciate doing those exercises a lot more.
Cool. You got another one?
All right, go on then. You've recently become a father, so I'm going to ask you this question. Thanks. Should my kids be strength training?
Yes, but probably not right now at 5 months. Although he's probably this. Okay, let me rewind what I just said. Strength training goes way beyond the gym. He is doing strength training every single day, just moving his body around, finding things, sensory stuff, and obviously you can see a positive impact as he grows. For example, he now knows how to sit up.
Yeah, he does.
So that in itself should tell you that strength training is essential. Where it goes wrong is there are real bad practitioners that just think strength training is about lifting the most amount of weight with bad techniques, etc. Or the misinformation on social media where you see someone lifting 300 kilos doing half a rep of a squat and you think that's what you need to do because your favourite bodybuilder looks like that.
Yeah.
So yes, they should. For me, you start with skills, you start with technicals, you start with challenges and tasks, and the lovely thing that is gravity will help you get stronger. And then you start loading those skills over time. And if it's done correctly, you don't disrupt movement. And I think if we taught this more at schools, we would crack down on the obesity problem. And we wouldn't be having to do what we're currently doing in society now by taxing sugar, bringing things in like Ozempic and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, kids, in my opinion, should be strength training, but there's a lack of good practitioners.
And I'm just going to jump in off the back of that. If women between the ages of 18 and 24 start weight training now, their symptoms during menopause will be reduced. So now is the time almost to start. If you have a child that's in that bracket, or you are that age, I could not recommend it enough, because you're going to thank yourself in the future.
Powerful. Oof. Okay, so just to wrap up some of the things that me and Hats has said, there is research behind what we're saying. It's not an opinion, although we have a strong opinion on it. There has been a study, there's many studies, but we picked one out in 2023 in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research. Big up the JSCR. Hats, do you want to read it out? I know we got it in front of us.
What, right, okay. So the key point from this study, and this is actual scientists, not just us, but women lifting 2 to 3 times per week saw improved confidence, reduced anxiety, and better mood.
Wow. And you know what? Again, I want to hone in on what I was talking about kids. So this is the problem with research, right? Because that statement is powerful and it's true, right? But what it fails to do is talk about the level that you're currently at. For a lot of our listeners who are thinking about starting, who may have had fear in starting, women lifting, you lifting, will not be going to the gym and literally picking up 60, 70 kilo Romanian deadlifts or hex bar deadlifts or whatever. Your form of strength training might actually be as simple as making sure that you're carrying your Tesco bags instead of taking the bus 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Or it might be getting in the gym and learning how to hip thrust at your body weight.
Absolutely.
Equally, if you're someone like us who have trained quite a lot, then it might be upping your frequency, or it might be lifting a little bit heavier or faster or with more volume. So there is a level for everyone.
Absolutely.
But the sum of the numbers are, if you're lifting weights and you're doing that between 2 and 3 times a week, you're going to be more confident because it's this process that you're overcoming. You're going to feel better about yourself and bust down barriers in your own mind.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you'll be stronger, fitter, healthier and happier, which is basically the sum of what we're trying to say.
That is what this is all about, for sure.
Cool. All right. So I think we've plugged the women's weightlifting community enough.
Maybe a little bit too much.
This is your chance to maybe plug it again.
One more time. Yes. So obviously, I've said it already. We've got a fantastic community of women that are feeling strong, safe, and supported in the gym. Group sessions, it's just me and Nat that coach it, so it's completely female-led. Any sort of ability, you can be a complete beginner and have never stepped in a gym before, or you can be an Olympic lifter. I'd love for an Olympic lifter to come along, so if you know anyone, let me know. But the success that I have seen from this in terms of people not having to go to other professionals for health benefits. We've had a lady that got diagnosed with osteoporosis and she's had a DEXA scan and her bone density has improved. Mm-hmm. But not only little stories like that, which are significant, but just feeling better in themselves, feeling more confident, liking the way they look, going on holiday and wearing a bikini for the first time. Small little changes like this are what our community is all about, and I could not recommend it enough. We are offering a free trial for your first session. Mm-hmm. I think even if you don't, it doesn't sound like something you're up for, I would say come along, give it a go, let me change your mind.
Yeah, love that. And the second thing that I want to plug is we run 2, one's a 20-minute and one is a half an hour kind of workshop class for mobility and movement at Activate Learning, which is here. And we have seen the people that have been attending over the year feel healthier, happier, stronger, move better, reduce movement, or increase movement, reduce pain. But more importantly, break up their day so that their second half of their day is not full of headaches. They've kind of created that freshness. And we've only ever reported positive stuff from the people that are coming. So if this is something that you need and you're listening at your desks where this gets fired over, hopefully, we encourage you to come. It is on a Tuesday and a Thursday at 12:30 p.m. I know we're coming towards the end of the term, but you'll hopefully see us again next year.
And that is men and women, by the way, for that class.
Cool. So let's wrap this up. You don't want to be listening to us babbling on forever. I want to thank you guys for listening. And remember, the key message is lifting is for everyone, but this podcast episode is honing in especially on females. It is so super important that you guys start some sort of strength training, but equally if you're already doing it, we want you to pull the rest along. It's a leadership role that we think
absolutely be the leader. Show them that feeling empowered is feeling strong.
Our next episode should be on breaking down barriers to participation, which is a big topic. It's kind of been touched on today, but we're going to really unpack that because a lot of that is psychological, but equally there is a lot of things that you can do to get yourself going. So yeah, thank you for tuning in for this episode. We are More Than Muscle, and if you've been inspired by us, please knock on our door. We will help you with your strength training.
We'd love to.
You can find us where, Hats?
You can follow us on Instagram at More Than Muscle LTD. Please visit our website. There's lots of beautiful photos of me on there at www.morethanmuscle.co.uk. And one last time, you can join our WWC to get support from women just like you.
Boom. So until next time, feel confident, get strong, and be loved.